Hey everyone, welcome to our fifth installment of the take-home clay kits at Mighty Mud. Ursula and Megan yesterday made these two dishes for you guys and as examples, and the pictures will be on the website so you can follow along. So these are some examples of what you can do with this project. I'm going to set these over here. So when you pick up your kits this week, what you're going to get is a box with 2 balls of clay in it. One's like 2 pounds and one's 3. You're going to get some papers with templates, and I've already taken the liberty of cutting mine out, so I'm ready to go for you guys to save some time. You'll have a knife, a little plastic or paper knife, and a little heavy-duty toothpick. Okay. So what you'll also need is some water. You might need some newspaper, and you might need, if you don't have newspaper, you can use paper towels. So we'll show you what that's all about in a minute. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is the fun thing for everybody is, and I'm following along on my computer so you guys know what we're doing. I'm trying to follow the instructions that they wrote down. Alright, so the smaller ball of clay, we got to smash this down and get it ready to roll out. Smashing that down. Oh yeah, you can have a roller in your pack too. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to get this smacked down, and I'm going to roll it out so that this smaller, the butter dish base, will fit on that, and we can cut it out. Okay, I'm going to go down about to a 1/4 inch thickness, not too thick. Okay, so I've got that banged, I'm rolling. As you're rolling, you can lengthen it by keeping it one direction and going back the other direction. If you go back and forth like this, then you're going to widen it the other way. So you check, if we're wide enough, then we just need to go back and forth. And you can flip it over too. If your clay is being sticky, you can use baby powder or cornstarch to put on your rolling pin, and that will help with the stickiness, and it won't affect the clay or anything. You won't see it ever. It'll burn right out when we fire the kiln, so no problem. So these butter dishes are very functional. You can actually use these in your kitchen. They're dishwasher safe and everything, so hope you enjoy them and make one that's actually useful for you guys. Alright, so I'm pretty close. I got a little bit more to do, and I'll show you in a second. Just a little more roll. Looks pretty good, so that will fit there for everything I need to cut out. Alright, so set that on there. Make sure it's nice and smooth and flat. You want to have your butter to be on a flat surface. I'm going to take my knife and cut out our shape. So we just cut on the lines. You can also, if it's sticking to the table, flip it a few times or put some cornstarch or flour or anything on the table to help it not stick if it's sticking to the table. Okay. Remember, this is the butter dish base, so this will be the bottom of the butter dish. And all this clay that I'm cutting off, you want to ball up after we're done cutting and save for later things like a handle or anything. So putting it over here, and then cutting out these notches. These seem like a weird thing right now, but they'll make sense, I promise. And then final cut here. Alright, so I've got all that clay, balling that up. If you got your bag, you can put them back in the bag and they'll stay nice and moist in there. Okay, so we've got our base cut out. Yours will be a little damp, so don't do this, but just so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so a weird symbol there. So I'm gonna set it aside. Now we gotta let that dry for about a half an hour before we can do the next step for that. And so what I'm gonna do is start on the next piece in your kit, which is the butter dish cover. Okay, so that's the bigger one. And for that, we'll use the bigger ball of clay. It kind of makes sense, right? Alright. Clean my work area real quick. Alright, so again, let's smack this down. Remember, this one's pretty square, so we'll need a pretty good amount of the clay to be length and width. Nice thick circle there, so now I'm going to roll it out. This one I can do kind of back and forth because I know I'm going to need some width, or some width and some height. So these will hold a full stick of butter we've measured. I know when I first started making butter dishes, I used to make like a half size one, not realizing how big a stick of butter actually is. We've gotten a little better at that. So just check it as you go. So I've still got a good amount to go to get to where I need to get for all the things to be able to cut out. If your clay gets kind of weirdly textured or whatever, you can use your finger with a tiny bit of water, or just without water, or you can like do the back of a spoon and kind of rub it and smooth it out. So you can smooth it out with any lines or anything that's in there. That's fine. You can also do it at the end, so there's no rush. Let's see where we are. Alright, we're pretty close. Alright. Remember, we wanted about a 1/4 inch thick, so mine's still a little thick, so I'm going to thin it down a little bit. I sit for you for the video, but it's actually easier to do this standing, so do what you gotta do. Just checking this thickness. Smooth it out a little bit. Diagonal rolls will help it go both ways. Alright, so check this. Alright, that looks good. Set that on there. I like to wipe my knife off a little bit as I go, just to get any goo off there. Right there. Cut this out. I'd also be playing music if I wasn't on video to do things, because doing clay and listening to music is very fun. Right? I also watch movies sometimes, but it's hard to pay attention to a movie, so you can play a movie you've seen before. That way you can just listen to it. A lot of us have movies that we watch over and over. They come on TV, or you have a DVD or anything. Almost cut out here. When you're cutting these out, also try to stay up and down as far as the cut. If you hold it like a pencil, then you're going to cut bevels. So you want to make sure you're cutting up and down as much as possible. We can always fix it. Alright, so I've got my template cut out. I can set that aside. Now both these need to wait for a half an hour to dry before we can do our next step. So it's the hardest part. You gotta wait. I'll see you in a minute. Alright, we're back. We've been waiting half an hour. So your stuff should be a little bit firmed up and easy to work with. You'll know it's ready if you can touch it and come away without clay on your fingers. One thing that you'll see in the pictures online is they took something and scored or creased the lines around the flaps. And so one thing I was thinking about during the break is that this is very similar to like origami or putting boxes together or paper boxes. So I'm using a ruler and I'm gonna just crease where all the edges are going. So what that's gonna do is gonna create an easy time for me to fold this up, because that's our next step. Okay? I'm using a board so that you guys can lift it and easier to move around. And so, see how we did a crease there? All right, our next step, we get our handy dandy toothpick here. So what we're gonna do is on the inside of the edge of these notches, we're gonna scratch. Okay. So really rough that up, and I'll show you what to do with it in a second. We're gonna go around and do all those. Ceramics, we call it slip and score. Scratch and attach is what my wife likes to say, so we'll go with that. She's the boss. Alright, so what we're going to do is basically fold this up to create the base of your butter dish. And for every corner, we're going to use a little bit of water. Go ahead and put a little bit dash of water on each, inside each piece, on the places where we scratched. And I'm going to fold up the flaps, we'll call them flaps. If you're very particular, you can use a ruler to help you bend that up. Help. But the creases should help to say where that is supposed to go. So you see these corners are starting to come together. Alright, so we've got water on the corners and we've scratched, and now we're going to pinch them together and smooth them out with our finger. I'll show you what that means. So this should create a nice corner for the bottom of our butter dish. See that? Okay, so I'm going to do that to all the sides. Push those together. You can be a little rough with this. Bring all the side all the way up. Get it kind of square. We can smooth it out more later. Corner together. Squeeze, pinch, smooth, all that stuff. Alright, corner together. Smooth all this out with my fingers. So we have a nice tray for the top of the butter dish to ride on. This might look a little big, but in ceramics, after you fire them, they shrink between 10 and 15%. And so this is going to get smaller as we fire it. That way the butter fits in there well, versus like just floating around in there willy-nilly. Alright, so we got one base. I'm going to set it aside. Let that keep drying. Move on to our next piece. This is our butter dish cover is what they're calling it on here. So that's what we're doing next. So this is the same process. On this one, the flaps are so big, if you want it to be round, you don't have to score these or crease these. But if you want it to be a little more square, you can. I'm going to do mine a little, go ahead and crease them, but you don't have to. This one should be easier to put together as far as folding up the flaps. But I don't mind mine being a little square like me. Alright, so I've creased mine. There we go. The exact same process. So I'm taking my handy dandy toothpick, and I'm scratching all the surfaces that are going to touch or meet each other when I fold up. So again, it looks like that. That's what we're looking for. All the way around. Most people are too timid with this process. They don't scratch it enough. So if you think you've done enough, you probably have not, if I'm honest. Scratch. Scratch. Alright, so we're all scratched up. What do we do now? Alright, water, that's right. So, a little water. Use a paintbrush for this if you don't want to get your fingers all gooey or what have you. A little cheap paintbrush is easy to work with. I got some fancy Tupperware here to hold my water. Sponge will work too, whatever makes it easiest for you guys. Alright, so I'm going to start folding up, just like before. With this one, you probably need to do the corners each time before you move on to the next corner. So fold up one, put it together as much as possible, and then I'll come back to it and smooth it. Switch to the other end, push that together. Starting to look like something. Other fold. Last one, squish together. So if I hadn't waited for this to dry a little bit, my fingers would be all like squished into this and it would be out of shape. So if you jumped ahead, you can stop and backtrack. So let it set up a little bit and come back to it. I'm telling you, it's worth it. Alright, so I'm going back and I'm smoothing all my corners to make sure there's no visible seam, and doing the same with the top. Like I said, I'm using a board. As you can see, that makes my life a little easier, so I can turn it instead of turning myself. It's fine, but it doesn't work well for videos. I'm just using my finger. You can also use the weird end to the toothpick. It can help you smooth out things too. Or a spoon, like we talked about before, the back end of a spoon. If you see any cracking or anything, just take a tiny bit of water and smooth that out. Okay, squeezing this together. You can also smooth the inside seams with a little bit of water, nothing crazy. So this is what it should look like somewhat. I haven't finished smoothing out completely, but what we're doing, in theory, this is the top. And we've got the bottom here, and this top will set down inside the fold-ups that we did first time. See that? So right inside that. That's why they made the template, so it'll make it easier for you guys to do. So there, okay? Just so you can see what we're doing. All right, we're not done. So I'm setting that aside. Take a minute, make sure everything's nice and smooth here. Okay, so our last thing, well, last things are, do you want a handle on your butter dish? I'm gonna say yes. smoothing this out a little bit. So you'll see a couple different handles in the picture section and the instructions section. What I'm going to do is, it says to use newsprint or paper towels or something. So when I lost that. I'm going to use the template that we had that came in. I'm going to set up the butter dish, so there's that. I'm going to take the template, set it inside. And what this does is it makes it so they don't stick together. That's our goal. So, flip that over inside. Make sure all the things are inside the walls. Okay, so we've got it so it won't stick together while it's drying. Alright. So our next step is a handle. We had the clay that was left over from before. There's a couple different ways to do this. We'll show you a simple one. So we're going to take this and roll it up like a snake. It's called a coil in ceramics. For my coil, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten it a little bit. So I'm going to cut off about that much. So kind of a baby carrot. And I'm going to flatten out that baby carrot. Put it over, flatten that out, smooth it. And what we can do is bend that and create a handle. Like a mustache, right? So we'll call it a mustache handle. Alright, so with that mustache handle, it looks like a little W. I'm going to scratch and attach. So I'm going to scratch the point so it's going to touch the top of the dish. These two down points. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Then we're going to do the same wherever we want the handle to attach. And so about there, make some marks. Scratch. There. A little water. Water. Set that on. Push it in. Okay. If your butter dish is sagging at all, like pushing in, you can also take newsprint or paper towels and stuff up inside while it's drying so that it doesn't squish in. Also, that would help while you're trying to put this handle on the top. At this point, you can be crazy. You know, you can scratch and attach, or scratch and like make textures all over this. Take your time to smooth it out completely. We use a spoon in some other videos to create textures. So, you know, there's all kinds of things you can do to make this your own. So, enjoy and have fun with it. Remember, this is a fun time, not something that we're, you know, trying to make money off or what have you. We want to have fun. We want everyone to enjoy themselves during this time. We should be opening Mud back up on the 1st. That's what it seems like it's going to happen, May 1st. You'll get some more information from us on social media as we do that, and we'll keep talking to you, and we'll keep doing these kits probably all summer because it seems like you guys enjoy them, and I enjoyed making them. So thank you very much.